G20 Leaders Summit. We also have with us Sri Janesh Ken, who looks after South Africa in the Ministry of External Affairs. He is Joint Secretary in charge of Eastern Southern African countries. With that, I hand over the floor to Secretary ER for his initial remarks. Sir.
And thank you very much, Randhir, and good evening, everyone. You would have seen the press announcement by the ministry yesterday. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will be visiting Johannesburg, South Africa from 21st to 23rd of November to attend the G20 Leaders Summit at the invitation of President of South Africa. This will be Prime Minister's fourth official visit to South Africa, following his bilateral visit in 2016 and later for the two BRICS summits in 2018 and 2023. This is the first G20 summit that will be happening on African soil, and in that context will bring the spotlight on the development issues of Africa as also of the global south. It may also be recalled that it was during India's G20 presidency in 2023 that the African Union was inducted into G20 as permanent member. Apart from G20 members, South Africa has invited several guest countries, non-members that we know, and several heads of international organizations to the Leaders Summit in Johannesburg. The summit will be important for India to ensure continuity of its priorities in the G20 after having hosted a very successful presidency in 2023. As you are aware, the G20 has emerged as a premium forum for international economic cooperation, as well as for discussing matters of global significance. The G20 provides an excellent opportunity for the leaders of these large economies and emerging economies, representing over 85% of global GDP and around 3/4 of the world population, to come together and discuss important issues impacting the world. These include important matters such as accelerating progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, reform of global institutions of governance, tackling environmental and climate challenge, debt sustainability, bridging the digital divide, energy transition, emerging technologies, underscoring the importance of international coordination and cooperation in addressing contemporary global challenges. Under their overall presidency theme of solidarity, equality, sustainability, South Africa has identified 4 key priority areas for its G20 presidency this year. These are: number 1, strengthen disaster resilience and response; number 2, debt sustainability for low-income countries; third, mobilize finance for just energy transition; and fourth, harness critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. The 3 plenary sessions of the Leaders Summit weave in these priorities areas for discussion by the leaders on 22nd and 23rd of November. We have conveyed to you the theme of these plenary sessions also in our announcement yesterday. The Johannesburg G20 Summit will mark the culmination of the first cycle of 20 G20 presidencies. The priorities identified by South Africa are aligned with those of India's G20 presidency and that of Brazil, ensuring continuity in the G20 discussions from the perspective of matters that are important to Global South. The Indian G20 presidency, as some of you would recall, had established a disaster risk reduction working group, signifying the importance India attached to this matter. The South African presidency has carried forward the important work related to disaster risk reduction and resilience as one of the key priorities of its own presidency. Similarly, through the Task Force on Food Security, the South African presidency has carried forward the dialogue on this important challenge as well. The South African presidency has, in a way, continued focus on issues of importance to Global South. The New Delhi's Leaders Declaration has provided a strong basis for many of the G20 outcome documents adopted this year in the various ministerial tracks. The Indian presidency's flagship priorities such as digital public infrastructure, women-led development, the action plan to accelerate progress on SDGs, as well as key outcomes of the working group from last year, including the disaster risk reduction working group and the empowerment of women working group, initiated by India have found strong resonance in the South African presidency. Furthermore, the Deccan high-level principles on food security and nutrition, commitment to triple renewable energy capacity, and double energy efficiency are some of the other key outcomes that have been reinforced in the course of discussion this year on different tracks in the South African presidency. Johannesburg summit will also conclude the successful holding of the presidency of the G20 by 4 emerging markets and developing economies of G20, namely Indonesia, India, Brazil, and now, of course, South Africa. And this has enabled all of us collectively to bring some focus or sharper focus on matters impacting the global South. We have been actively participating in all tracks of G20 throughout the year and now, of course, in Johannesburg, and we look forward to a successful and productive G20 summit in Johannesburg. Before I conclude, let me also mention that on the margins of G20 summit, PM will be participating in the IPSA, India, Brazil, South Africa leaders meeting, as well as holding bilateral meeting with several leaders who will be present in Johannesburg. And with these words, I'll be very happy to respond to any question that you may have. Thank you.
Hi, sir, Siddhant from Vion. Are we looking at any bilateral meetings on the sidelines? If you can perhaps talk about that.
Yeshi?
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. Is America's absence going to have any impact on the summit? And is Prime Minister Modi likely to meet President Xi Jinping? Because he's expected to be there as well.
So this is Ayush Agarwal from ANI. Given the recent activities, how much is the Indian Prime Minister going to address global concerns like terrorism, and are we expecting a strong statement against terrorism to be reflected in the G20 leaders' declaration?
Mm-hmm. We can take these questions.
Well, thank you very much. The questions regarding the bilateral meetings, as you know, for summit of this level and this importance, this provides very valuable opportunity for leaders to interact and meet with other world leaders. So yes, there would be bilateral meeting, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, with world leaders who will be participating at the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg. We are working out details of these bilateral meetings as we speak. But we will keep you posted once things are finalized, so we will be in touch with you regarding the details of the bilateral meetings. Regarding the issue of terrorism that Ayushi you mentioned, this is of course a very important subject for us. But G20, of course, as you know, is a forum where you discuss, of course, mainly economic issues and related matters. And as we speak, we are discussing a declaration for the summit. Our colleagues and teams are in Johannesburg, and all such issues are being discussed. So I would not like to prejudge what will come in the declaration, but all important matters that are relevant from our perspective, from Global South perspective, will be highlighted by our leadership. And as I mentioned to you earlier, given the fact that we have had successive G20 presidency from countries from Global South, starting with Indonesia, followed by us, then Brazil, and then now South Africa. It has given us an opportunity to really, while discussing all issues, but pay more attention to issues of importance to Global South. So we are very happy that in the course of discussion throughout the year in ministerial tracks, several of the priorities that we have highlighted during our presidency, whether it's DPI or whether it is food security or whether it's debt sustainability issues, have been captured in various documentation adopted during ministerial track. And I'm confident that as our team finalize the summit declaration document, some of them will find reference there also.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Huma?
So I'm Huma Siddiqui from Strat News Global. You mentioned about the IPSA meeting, Prime Minister will be meeting. Would you have any idea what would be the agenda?
Smita?
Hi, Smita Sharma. Just following up on Yeshi's question, I think you missed out on that, and adding to it, that given the fact that you're hoping for a productive summit, but if the US itself is not in the room, and Mr. Marco Rubio has gone so far as to ask member nations to not sign upon the declaration, there have been a lot of controversies that have been overshadowing G20 these past few years. The Russian president is also not going to be there. The Chinese premier likely going to be there. Is it really going to remain as productive?
Not the same question. If it's the same question, you can pass. Okay, please.
Thank you. This is Nainima Basu, independent journalist. Wanted to understand, has there been any conversation with your American counterparts or South African counterparts, because this is unprecedented, the US will not be attending. So how do you think the joint communique or the consensus will be arrived at? Thank you.
Okay. Neeraj?
सर, अफ्रीकी यूनियन को भारत में जो सम्मेलन हुआ था उसमें उनको पूरी सदस्यता दी गई थी और उसके पहले सम्मेलन प्रधानमंत्री के निर्देश पे हुए थे और हमने उस मुद्दे को बहुत मजबूती से अपने सम्मेलन के दौरान उठाया था। 2 साल बीत गए हैं, जिन मुद्दों को भारत ने उठाया था, आपको कहाँ लगता है कि अफ्रीका महाद्वीप में पहली बार हो रहा है, वहां तक हम लोग पहुंचे, कितना आगे बढ़े हैं ग्लोबल साउथ के मसले पर?
Take one. Brahm.
सर, ब्रह्म प्रकाश जी न्यूज से। इस समिट में जो एजेंडा है आपने बताया, लेकिन भारत की तरफ से भी क्या कुछ अलग से इसमें मुद्दे उठाए जाएंगे? खासतौर से टेररिज्म, आतंकवाद को लेकर भारत लगातार वैश्विक मंचों पर उठाता रहा है, तो क्या इस मुद्दे पर प्राइम मिनिस्टर आतंकवाद को लेकर बातचीत करेंगे? द्विपक्षीय वार्ता में भी उठाएंगे और इस मंच पर भी क्या उठाएंगे?
Thank you.
I think there was a question on IPSA meeting that is taking place. As all of you know, India, Brazil, South Africa are 3 democracies from 3 continents, all from global south. And we have a very unique forum of coordinating among ourselves around 3 pillars of cooperation, I would say. One is the political coordination. The second is trilateral cooperation that we do, including people-to-people contact. And thirdly, what we do collectively as IPSA for countries in global south, particularly on the aspect of food and hunger through IPSA fund. So this is a meeting, although it is a meeting happening on the sidelines of summit, it will be a short meeting, but I'm confident that the 3 leaders will be reviewing what we have been following up under these 3 pillars of cooperation in recent time. I would like to also say that only in September this year, on the margins of UNGA in New York, the IPSA foreign ministers had met also and issued a statement also on some of the themes that we keep discussing among ourselves as like-minded countries. So that is what we expect in the IPSA meeting. But again, I would not prejudge what finally leaders will discuss and decide. So I would like you to wait, and we would certainly update you after the IPSA leaders meeting in Johannesburg. As regards question about US participation, I would like to comment on our own participation at the G20 Leaders Summit. All of you are aware of the debate in the media and the information available in public domain about the participation of various members of G20. So that is not for me to comment. As I mentioned to you earlier, for us, G20 is a very important forum. And as I mentioned to you, in the last 3-4 years, starting with Indonesia and followed by our own presidency, which was very successful, where we agreed to have consensus declaration, could really pilot and take new initiative on a number of themes that impact Global South. We are very happy that these discussions have carried forward under the presidency of Brazil, and of course in South Africa also, as I mentioned to you, under 4 verticals that South Africa has outlined for their own presidency. Number of things have been achieved throughout the year under various tracks in these areas. So we are very happy that the issue of importance to Global South are at the center for discussion and are being highlighted. We are also, so I think for us, G20 is very important, and as I said, issue of priority to us have been taken forward through successive presidency. The issue of terrorism, I think I have already mentioned to you that every issue of importance to us will be highlighted, will be taken up, has been taken up, and as we have these bilateral meetings take place, we will certainly update you about what leaders have decided, and I will not certainly prejudge the outcome of these conversations at the leaders level. Finally, the issue of जो आपने सवाल उठाया अफ्रीकन यूनियन के बारे में और ग्लोबल साउथ की प्रायोरिटीज़ के बारे में, जैसा मैंने बताया कि ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण था कि हमारी प्रेसिडेंसी में अफ्रीकन यूनियन को हमने G20 के फ्रेमवर्क में लेके आए उसको, और ये पहली बार G20 अफ्रीका यूनियन अफ्रीकन सॉइल पे हो रही है साउथ अफ्रीका में. तो ये भी हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि AU members, AU will be joining in this summit in Johannesburg. और जैसा मैंने बताया कि जितने भी मुद्दे हमारे ग्लोबल साउथ के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट हैं उसको हाईलाइट किया गया है बहुत मजबूती से पिछले 3-4 सालों में, और हमें अपेक्षा है कि जो ये मुद्दे हैं जिनके ऊपर हमारी सहमति बनी है मिनिस्ट्रियल ट्रैक्स में भी, उसका किसी न किसी तरीके से डिक्लेरेशन जो है समिट की इसके ऊपर बातचीत चल रही है जोहान्सबर्ग में, उसको भी कैप्चर किया जाएगा. तो हमारे लिए आई थिंक जैसे मैंने बताया कि ग्लोबल साउथ के एंगल से ये जोहान्सबर्ग समिट महत्वपूर्ण है. थैंक यू.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this press conference. We shall keep you updated with all the bilateral meetings and other participation that our Prime Minister will have in the G20 summit. Thank you very much.